What if I told you that skipping meals on purpose could actually help you lose weight, boost your energy, and simplify your relationship with food? Sounds a bit backwards, right? But here's the twist. It's not about starving yourself. It's about learning when to eat just as much as what to eat. Now here's something else. More and more doctors and researchers are paying attention to this approach, not just for weight loss, but for improving overall health, especially as we age. So why is everyone suddenly talking about intermittent fasting? And is it really safe for people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s? Here's the hook that surprises most people. Intermittent fasting doesn't tell you what foods to cut out. It simply shifts when you eat. That small change, it could make a big difference, especially if traditional diets haven't worked for you. In this video, we're going to explore how intermittent fasting works, how to actually apply it in real life, what kind of food choices matter when you're not fasting, and what side effects to watch out for. This isn't about trends or hype. It's about understanding the science and making informed choices, especially when it comes to long-term health and sustainable weight loss. But before we go any further, it's important to say this clearly. This video is designed purely for educational purposes. It's not personal medical advice. If you're managing a condition like diabetes or taking medications that affect your blood sugar or metabolism, it's crucial that you talk with your doctor or a licensed dietitian before making changes to your eating patterns. Everybody is different and your health history matters. So let's begin with a simple but powerful question. What exactly is intermittent fasting? At its core, intermittent fasting, often shortened to IVE, is a way of structuring your eating by cycling between periods of eating and fasting. Instead of focusing on cutting calories at every meal or eliminating entire food groups, IVE changes when you eat, not necessarily what you eat. There are two popular methods of intermittent fasting that are especially common and relatively simple to follow. The first is called the 5-to-2 method. This means you eat normally for 5 days out of the week. On the other 2 non-consecutive days, you reduce your calorie intake to around 500 to 600 calories per day. It's not a full fast, but it's a significant calorie cut on those 2 days. Many people find this easier to stick to than a strict daily regimen. The second, and probably more widely used, approach is called 16-8. Time-restricted eating. This means you fast for 16 hours of the day and eat during an 8-hour window. For example, you might eat from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and fast from 7 p.m. until the next day at 11 a.m. This can often align with your natural rhythms and still allow for 2 satisfying meals per day. So why are these methods catching on, especially among older adults? For one, they're flexible. You don't need to count every calorie or follow a complicated plan. Second, they align with how our metabolism naturally works, and that's exactly what we'll unpack in the next section. Because once you understand how your body handles food, fat, and fasting, this whole idea starts to make a lot more sense. Ready to find out what's happening inside your body when you're not eating? Let's take a closer look at the science behind intermittent fasting. Let's take a moment to look under the hood. What's really happening inside your body when you fast? Because once you understand the why, the how starts to feel a lot more doable. And if you've ever wondered why intermittent fasting works for so many people, especially those over 50, this is where it all starts to make sense. Here's a simple truth. Every time we eat, our body gets to work. Carbohydrates from our food are broken down into something called glucose, a form of sugar that serves as one of the body's main sources of energy. But glucose doesn't float around aimlessly. It needs help getting into your cells. That's where a hormone called insulin comes in. Insulin acts like a key, unlocking the doors so glucose can be used as fuel. But here's the catch. Our bodies only need so much energy at the moment. When there's more glucose than we need right away, the body stores it for later. Some of it gets packed away as glycogen in the liver and muscles. Think of it as a small, quick-access fuel tank. But that tank has limited space. Once it's full, the leftover glucose is converted into fat. and that fat gets stored, often in places we'd rather it didn't. Now here's where intermittent fasting becomes powerful. When you stop eating for a while, whether it's 16 hours or a couple of lower-calorie days in the week, insulin levels naturally drop. Without insulin pushing new glucose into cells, the body starts looking for backup energy sources. First, it taps into the glycogen reserves in the liver. That's the easy fuel. But once those stores run low, the body starts burning fat. Yes, the very fat we'd love to lose. This isn't just a theory, it's basic biology. By giving your body time without food, you allow it to shift gears, from storing fat to burning fat. That's a big reason why intermittent fasting has become so effective for long-term weight management. There's more. When you fast consistently, whether by doing the 16-8 daily window or the 5-2 method, you end up consuming fewer calories overall. On average, studies show it results in about a 25% reduction in total weekly calorie intake. That's without obsessively counting calories or completely changing your diet. It's a natural reduction that happens because your eating window is smaller or more focused. But fasting isn't just about weight. There's growing research showing that lowering insulin levels regularly might support better metabolic health, improved insulin sensitivity, and potentially even lower risk of certain chronic conditions. Of course, more studies are still being done, but the early findings are promising, especially for older adults who want a simpler, more natural way to manage their health. Now, to be clear, fasting doesn't mean you can eat anything and still expect results. What you eat during your eating window still matters, but the magic of fasting lies in timing. By giving your body regular breaks from insulin spikes, you're allowing it to rest, reset, and tap into energy you already have stored. So next time you're thinking about weight loss, energy levels, or even just simplifying your eating habits, remember this: your body is already designed to burn fat. You just need to give it the right conditions. And intermittent fasting might just be the key to unlocking that natural process. In the next section, we'll talk about how to put this into practice, specifically the foods that work best with intermittent fasting and the ones you might want to avoid. Because when it comes to fueling your body well, the when and the what go hand in hand. Now that we've explored how intermittent fasting works in the body, there's another important piece of the puzzle we can't ignore: what you eat when you're not fasting. Because here's the truth: fasting gives your body the space to burn fat, but what you put on your plate during eating hours still determines how effective the process really is. You can't out-fast a poor diet, and that's actually good news, because a few smart food choices can go a long way toward helping you feel fuller, have more energy, and stay on track with your goals, without needing a complicated meal plan. Let's start with 5 types of foods you do want to include in your meals. These aren't exotic or expensive. In fact, they're probably already sitting in your pantry or fridge. First up, whole grains. Think oats, brown rice, whole grain pasta, and whole wheat bread. These are complex carbs that release glucose slowly into your bloodstream, which helps keep your energy steady and cravings in check. They're also packed with fiber, something many of us over 50 don't get enough of. And that fiber is key for keeping your digestion moving smoothly and supporting heart health. Next, lean proteins, especially from meats and fish. Skinless chicken, turkey, and white fish like cod or haddock are all excellent choices. They help repair muscles, support your immune system, and keep you feeling full. And don't forget oily fish like salmon, mackerel, or sardines. These are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are important for brain and heart health, especially as we get older. Then there's low-fat dairy. Skim milk, cottage cheese, and plain Greek yogurt are all great sources of calcium, which becomes more important with age as we work to protect our bones. And the protein in these foods helps support muscle strength, especially when combined with light physical activity. Of course, we can't skip fruits and vegetables. Colorful produce offers vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that help your body repair and stay resilient. They're also full of water and fiber, which means they help you feel satisfied without overloading on calories. And lastly, beans, lentils, and pulses, a true unsung hero in any diet. These little powerhouses are rich in plant-based protein, fiber, iron, and essential nutrients. They're incredibly versatile too. Toss them in soups, mix them into salads, or blend into dips. Now, what about foods you might want to limit or avoid altogether, especially while following intermittent fasting? Let's start with the most common culprits: refined carbs. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, and sugary breakfast cereals may taste comforting, but they cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and just as quickly, a crash. That can leave you feeling sluggish and hungry again way too soon. Sugary foods and drinks are another trap. That includes candy, sodas, pastries, and even flavored yogurts or coffee creamers with hidden sugars. These items offer little nutrition but a lot of empty calories. And when you're working with a limited eating window, every bite really does count. Next are animal fats, things like lard or dripping that are high in saturated fats and don't do your heart any favors. And while red and processed meats like bacon and sausage can be tasty, they're also high in saturated fat and sodium. If you do eat them, keep the portions small and try trimming off any visible fat. Lastly, try to minimize heavily processed foods, ready-made meals, snack cakes, and frozen pastries. These often combine sugar, fat, and salt in a way that's hard to resist but easy to overdo. Not only can they interfere with weight loss, but they also increase inflammation and strain your metabolism over time. Making small, thoughtful changes to what you eat, especially during your eating windows, can enhance the benefits of intermittent fasting without making life harder. It's not about perfection, it's about giving your body the kind of fuel that supports the work it's already doing. And as we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. Fasting isn't just about skipping meals, it's about creating space for your body to heal, reset, and run more efficiently. But it works best when it's supported by smart choices, a little consistency, and a willingness to listen to your body. So how do you know if intermittent fasting is truly right for you? That's exactly what we'll touch on next as we close out this video with a few important thoughts and precautions, because your health journey should always be guided by knowledge, not just trends. So, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to talk honestly about something important: potential side effects. While intermittent fasting can be a helpful tool for weight management and overall health, it's not a magic switch. And like any lifestyle change, your body might respond with a few bumps in the road, especially in the beginning. Two of the most commonly reported side effects: headaches and constipation. Let's start with the headaches. These can often be triggered by mild dehydration, a drop in blood sugar, or even caffeine withdrawal if your eating window changes your coffee routine. But the good news is they're usually temporary and manageable. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day, even while fasting, can make a big difference. Staying hydrated supports your energy, digestion, and helps reduce hunger signals that can otherwise be mistaken for a headache. Now, about constipation, another common concern. When your eating schedule changes, so does your digestion. If you're not getting enough fiber, or if your meals become too small or unbalanced, your gut may slow down. That's why it's so important to include vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and plant-based proteins in your meals, especially during your eating window. They help keep everything moving and support the healthy bacteria your digestive system needs. But beyond the physical effects, it's also essential to reflect on your personal health background. Intermittent fasting isn't one size fits all. If you're managing a chronic condition like diabetes, taking medications that affect your blood sugar or blood pressure, or if you've had a history of disordered eating, then fasting may not be the right fit, or it might require close supervision. That's why I always recommend talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian before jumping in. They can help you evaluate if this style of eating is safe and sustainable for you. What works for one person may not be ideal for another, and that's okay. The goal is to support your health in a way that fits your life, your body, and your needs. Now, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned today. We've explored how intermittent fasting works, not just on the surface, but deep inside your body's metabolism. We've walked through the science, the different methods like 16-8 and 5-2, the types of foods that can support your journey, and those that might hold you back. And now, we've talked through the possible side effects and precautions, because informed choices are the best kind. So maybe this is the first time you've heard about intermittent fasting in a way that actually makes sense. Or maybe it's something you've been curious about for a while but weren't sure how to begin. Wherever you are in your journey, I hope this video helped shine a light, clear, encouraging, and grounded in real science. And if you found this helpful, I'd love for you to stick around. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts or your own experience, what worked, what didn't, or even the questions you still have. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more weekly videos on practical, evidence-based health topics that matter to you and your loved ones. There's so much more to explore together. Your journey to better health doesn't have to be overwhelming. Sometimes it just starts with understanding one small thing, like how the timing of your meals can support the energy, strength, and clarity you deserve in this stage of life. Thank you for watching. Please remember that this video is intended as an educational resource, not as a personal medical advice. You'll find all the references and a full disclaimer in the description below. Take what serves you, ask questions, stay curious, and as always, be kind to your body. It's doing a lot for you. Until next time.